2 years ago, I approached Zhong Yichi with ulterior motives. Once my goal was achieved, I left without a word, forcing him into an effective exile in the United States. When we met again, he had become my client, the boss of the company paying for our services. Right in front of my own boss, he called me a fraud. Zhong Yichi, the man I'd avoided for 2 years by changing my name, now sat in the main seat not far from me, his icy gaze sweeping over me intermittently. President He, unaware of the history between Zhong Yichi and me, asked me to pour him wine. I dared not delay and hurried over. Zhong Yichi calmly raised his hand to cover his glass. Zhao Qiao? He turned to look at me, the corners of his mouth lifting in a faint, almost imperceptible curve, yet there was no trace of a smile on his face. President He quickly offered a flattering explanation. Si Qiao, the project manager at our company. She's been transferred from our branch office today. It's her first day. So you haven't met her before. But Zhao Qiao is very capable, hardworking and persistent. Zhong Yichi tilted his head, listening, and finally gave a knowing smile. Zhao Qiao is a good name, and Miss Si Qiao's appearance certainly lives up to it. My heart pounded like thunder, and the hand holding the wine dispenser trembled uncontrollably. Zhong Yichi slowly moved his hand away, and after I finished pouring the wine, he added, I wonder how well Miss Si Qiao holds her liquor. I knew Zhong Yichi had no intention of letting me off the hook today. I picked up the glass in front of me, slightly bowed to him and said, President Zhong, I toast to you. Please drink as you wish. I'll finish mine first. Zhong Yichi watched me calmly as I drained the glass, an unreadable expression flashing in his eyes. Holding his own glass with 2 fingers, he said flatly, Miss Si, you look a lot like someone I know. My arm, still holding the glass, froze mid-air. President He perked up with interest. Really? Si Qiao resembling a friend of President Zhong's, that's quite a coincidence. Zhong Yichi didn't appreciate the sentiment. Instead, his tone turned colder. A fraud. President He, what kind of coincidence would you call that? A twisted fate? President He's smile froze on his face. Zhong Yichi turned to look at him, his smile not reaching his eyes. A suffocating pressure surged chaotically in my chest. My head buzzed, and my ears felt as if they'd gone deaf. Zhong Yichi raised a hand to loosen his tie, leaned back in his chair, and spoke languidly. But Miss Si has an honest face. Perhaps I was mistaken, misidentified her. Looking again, she doesn't seem so similar after all. President He quickly jumped in to mediate. President Zhong couldn't possibly be wrong. Maybe Si Qiao just has a common face. Si Qiao, go sit back down. I turned, and from behind me, Zhong Yichi's voice drifted lazily. Miss Si Qiao, is today your first day reporting to the head office? And before that, you were in ... I swallowed hard. In S City. Zhong Yichi nodded knowingly. Ah, that explains it. Is Miss Si Qiao a local? He continued. I nodded. Yes. Then why go to work in S City? A city generally offers better development prospects. My hands clenched under the table, nails digging into my flesh. For personal reasons. Oh, I see. I thought the topic was over, but then Zhong Yichi pivoted abruptly. He snapped his fingers toward the waiter by the door. Bring the red wine I have stored here, all of it. President He. Zhong Yichi smiled innocently. The Ninki project doesn't necessarily have to go to Xinyu. The final decision depends on your sincerity. Though his words were directed at President He, his eyes were fixed on me. I knew Zhong Yichi despised me. If he wanted revenge, he didn't even need to lift a finger himself. Of course, I couldn't afford to offend Zhong Yichi. If it was just about drinking, well, I happened to be good at it. What followed essentially became my stage. They plied me with alcohol merely to amuse Zhong Yichi. I refused no one and accepted every drink. And Zhong Yichi? He never glanced my way again. President He gave me only 3 days to handle the Ninki project. But after that dinner, the person in charge at Ninki went completely silent. On the morning of the 3rd day, I took the proposal and went directly to the Ninki building. Inside the chairman's office, Zhong Yichi's gaze was cold and thin. I thought you wouldn't dare come. Maintaining a professional demeanor, I presented the proposal with both hands. President Zhong, forgive me for intruding on you like this. I hope you'll understand. Zhong Yichi stopped in front of me. Instead of taking the proposal, he slowly reached out and used one hand to tilt my chin upward. The first time I'd met him, I'd been struck by the commanding presence he exuded. His features leaned toward the heroic, a high-bridged nose, deep-set eyes, thin lips carrying a hint of wildness. He was like a jar of strong liquor. He stared at me in silence, calm on the surface, but with undercurrents churning beneath. After a long moment, a mocking smile curled at the corners of his mouth. "Si Kiao." His hand slowly traced my face. "You're quite resourceful, aren't you? Changing your name, fleeing with the money. No wonder I tore through a city and couldn't find you." I turned my face away. "I'm sorry. Suddenly, Zhong Yichi grabbed my hair and yanked me toward him with a ferocity that forced me to tilt my head back and meet his gaze. His eyes held a murderous intent I'd never seen before. "Miss Jiang Yan, do you really think your sorry is worth anything? Do you have any idea what I paid because of you? You overestimate yourself far too much." I shook my head desperately, tears streaming down. "I'm sorry, I know you hate me, but I really had no choice." Zhong Yichi shoved me away violently, and I stumbled, falling to the floor. He roughly pulled out a cigarette, pressed the lighter, and took a deep drag. Through the faint haze of smoke, he squinted at me. "Was it Xiao Peiru who put you up to scheming against me?" Yao Peiru was Zhong Yichi's stepmother, the second wife of his father, Zhong Yaoming. I nodded. "Yes." "How much did she pay you?" 200,000. 200,000. Zhong Yichi bent down, one hand gripping my throat. "So that's all you're worth, 200,000? If you'd said earlier you needed money, I could have given you 10 times that." He let out a cold laugh. "Xiao Peiru really knows her craft. 200,000 she took the shares from my hands, ended my engagement with the Liu family, and then exiled me overseas for 2 years. A triple kill. Was it her sharp eye that found you, or your skillful hand?" He caressed my face gently, but his expression was dark and menacing. "Tell me, who should I settle this score with?" I struggled to breathe, answering in fragments. "It's my fault. I'm in your hands now, kill me or cut me, do whatever you want." Zhong Yichi released me, brushed the wrinkles from his pant legs, and looked down at me from his full height. "Even though I'm no longer with Aoshang, asking President He for a favor like taking you, he'd still grant me that courtesy. Please don't let anyone know about our relationship." Zhong Yichi stepped around the circular desk and lounged lazily in his chair. "If I don't keep you close, what if you run off again? You've got a record after all." I shook my head urgently. I wouldn't dare. I'll let you keep working at Xinyu, but..." Zhong Yichi paused. "I have one condition." With that, he tossed a set of keys, letting them clatter to the floor at my feet. "Starting today, move in." I stared at the keys for a long time, unmoving. I knew what this meant. But from the moment I'd entangled myself with Zhong Yichi, I should have known how it would end. "What? Not willing?" I grabbed the keys in an instant, clutching them tightly. "I'm willing. I'll move in today." Zhong Yichi said nothing more. He leaned back in his chair, one hand resting on his brow, looking utterly exhausted. I picked up the proposal, stood, and walked over to him. This proposal. Sensing my approach, Zhong Yichi slowly opened his eyes and fixed them on me without a word. Suddenly, he reached out and pulled me into his arms. I struggled to get off his lap, but he tightened his grip, holding me in place. "Don't move." His warm, humid breath brushed against my ear, and I couldn't help but shiver. "It's not like we haven't done this before. Why are you trembling?" His hand slowly traced my back. "Using your body as currency to trade for gain. Isn't that what Yan Yan does best?" "No. Wait, now I should call you Zhao Kiao, right?" In the final year of university, my father got into high-interest debt from gambling. When I was at my wit's end, I ran into Xiao Peiru. She paid off the debt and even found a job for my father. In return, she asked me to do something for her. Get close to Zhong Yichi, earn his favor, and provide intelligence that would benefit Xiao Peiru. Wealthy men, especially those from prominent families, are never short of gossip. But Zhong Yichi, whether he was exceptionally good at hiding it or simply too disciplined, had never been involved in any scandals. Xiao Peiru told me that Zhong Yichi's fiancée was Liu Yutang, the daughter of Liu's real estate. Theirs was a business marriage, and unless something unexpected happened, they were set to wed by year's end. And I was that unexpected variable Xiao Peiru had planned. Back then, Zhong Yichi played cards at Blue Dream Bay every Saturday. On my first day as a part-timer, I accidentally knocked over a teapot while serving tea in a private room. In the dim lighting, I couldn't make out his expression, only his voice. Chillingly cold. "Joe, since when did the third floor change its waitstaff?" The man he called Joe turned to glance at me. "Oh, a college student working part-time. Families struggling, a classmate of Xiao Xiao's." At that, a few others in the room cast quick glances my way. "Not bad looking. Your staff's pretty high caliber, huh?" A bunch of spoiled rich kids. I paid their teasing no mind. Zhong Yichi didn't even lift his gaze. He just let out a cold laugh. Just not very professional. It was like a retort to the others' remarks, laced with mockery. I quickly apologized, grabbing napkins nearby. I'm so sorry, I'll clean it up right away." Zhong Yichi paused briefly, then looked up at me, stopping my hand as I reached to wipe. His voice was low, unreadable. "Leave it. Go tend to your hand." Contrary to my expectations, Zhong Yichi wasn't as hard to approach as Zhao Peiru had suggested. Later, as he visited more often, and I made deliberate overtures, he didn't seem to mind. When I reported my progress to Zhao Peiru, she wasn't surprised by how smoothly things were going. She only said we were still waiting for an opportunity to take things further. I never imagined that opportunity would come so quickly. A few nights later, a vulgar rich man grabbed me while I was serving tea. I struggled free and ran out, colliding with Zhong Yichi, who was just walking in. The fear and shock I felt in that moment were real. So when that man came after me, pulling me back, Zhong Yichi's expression shifted instantly. He pulled me close, wrapping an arm around me, and stared the man down with icy fury. "President Wang, I'd advise you to keep your distance from my people." Everyone knew Zhong Yichi was engaged. When he openly defended me like that in public, I couldn't describe what I felt that night. Later that evening, Zhong Yichi drove me home. As I got out of the car, he called after me. "Quit the club job. If you need work, I can help you find something." The streetlight cast a dim, hazy glow. He sat in the shadows, his expression hidden. I gave him the smile I'd rehearsed countless times. "No need, I've already found an internship." The bait was taken. It was time for me to quit. From then on, I made a point of troubling Zhong Yichi whenever I could. I knew my mission well, yet I could never quite define what we were to each other. What was I to him? He had someone he was supposed to marry, yet he let me get close. He and Liu Yutang appeared together on the covers of financial sections everywhere. But that didn't stop him from waiting outside my office until late at night to drive me home. Taking a day out of his packed schedule just to celebrate my birthday with me. Remembering things I'd casually mentioned, buying my favorite breakfast. When I couldn't sleep after watching a horror movie, he'd stay on a video call with me all night. We did everything that lovers do, yet it always stopped at the boundary of propriety. Zhao Peiru said Zhong Yichi was cautious, that he wouldn't easily cross that line. But no one could walk away unscathed from being the object of Zhong Yichi's favor. Even as I lied to myself, papering over the cracks, I alone knew that in this game of calculated affection, the one truly trapped was me. Yan Zhao was the only person who knew about my relationship with Zhong Yichi. After I returned from S City, I stayed with her temporarily. As she helped me pack, she kept calling our situation a twisted fate. I'd been living in Zhong Yichi's apartment for a week, and he hadn't shown up once. But on Sunday morning, a woman with delicate features and impeccable grooming appeared at the door. We stared at each other for a good while before she finally broke the silence. "Sorry, I texted him but he didn't reply. I thought Xiaoqi might be home." From her words, she seemed like an elder of Zhong Yichi's. I invited her in and offered her water. As I poured, she asked, "Are you Xiaoqi's girlfriend?" Of course, I wasn't his girlfriend. But what exactly I was to him, I couldn't say myself. "Oh, I get it now," she said, as if suddenly remembering something, a playful smile lighting her face. "You're Yan Yan, aren't you?" How do you?" Beep, 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 the sound of the door unlocking cut me off. I turned to see Zhong Yichi standing at the entrance, breathing heavily. He walked over, addressing the woman on the sofa with a tone full of resignation. "Why are you back? Doesn't my uncle-in-law keep an eye on you?" The woman jumped up and playfully hit him. "You brat! Is that how you talk to your aunt? No manners at all." I couldn't help but study her and aunt. And so young-looking. Now that I thought about it, Zhong Yichi's features did bear some resemblance to hers. Zhong Yichi shot back. You're the one acting your age. Not a shred of dignity as an elder. The aunt smirked mischievously. Look how scared you got, rushing back like that. It's not like I was going to eat her. Careful you don't trigger an episode. Zhong Yichi ignored her, casually picking up my glass and drinking from it. Watching his chest heave violently, my heart tightened. I'd almost forgotten Zhong Yichi had allergic asthma. And yet he'd been smoking that day. Zhong Yichi's aunt stayed only a short while before he shooed her out. As I walked her to the door, she held my hand as if she wanted to say something. But Zhong Yichi pulled me back inside. Don't mind her. He walked to the sofa, loosening his tie in irritation. How long was she here? What did she say to you? I thought for a moment, deliberately glossing over some details. She just arrived when you came back. But she seemed to know me, knew my name. Zhong Yichi rubbed his brow, exhaled a long breath, and reached for the cigarette pack beside him. I don't know where I found the courage, but I walked over and took the cigarette from his hand. You can't smoke. Have you forgotten about your asthma? Zhong Yichi froze for a moment, and I suddenly realized how inappropriate my action was. After a few seconds of silence, he said flatly, It's been gone for a long time. I chose my words carefully. Even if it's gone, you still shouldn't smoke. It could relapse. Asthma can only be managed, not cured. He laughed abruptly. And what standing do you have to tell me what to do? I was taken aback. 2 people had asked me that same question in such a short time. I smiled bitterly. I spoke out of turn. He spoke casually, almost offhandedly. Do you know why I asked you to move in? I stared at the fluffy pink rabbit slippers. They'd been sitting quietly in the shoe cabinet when I arrived. I wasn't naive enough to think they'd been prepared for me. To get back at me, I murmured. Zhong Yichi gave a cold laugh, his voice carrying a hint of cruelty. Not revenge torture. Did you really think you could provoke me and walk away unscathed? Since you dragged me into this worldly desire, you'll stay by my side until I grow tired of you. You destroyed me, and thought you could just disappear. Jiang Yan, do you take me for dead? Without a word, I turned and went back to my room. Not long after, Zhong Yichi left too, slamming the door hard enough to shake the walls. He never intended to give me a clean end. What he wanted was for me to live daily under the slow blade of regret, to endure, cut by cut, until I went numb until my heart finally died. After successfully securing the Ninki project, President he frequently took me to various business social events. After my last unpleasant encounter with Zhong Yichi, I saw him again a few days later at a dinner party. I followed President he into the banquet hall and, through the scattered crowds, spotted Zhong Yichi standing not far away at a glance. He was wearing an impeccably tailored suit. Beside him stood a woman gentle, graceful, smiling like a flower, intimately leaning against his arm. I had seen her 2 years ago. Lu Yutang, the daughter of Lu's real estate. A perfect match of talent and beauty. A couple destined for each other. They looked very compatible. My throat felt tight and parched. I turned to leave. President he pulled me back. Zhao Qiao, don't you see young Master Zhong? Let's go say hello. Several company executives were with Zhong Yichi, their conversation flowing smoothly. I put on my best professional smile and exchanged pleasantries. Only Zhong Yichi's icy gaze fell upon my arm, which was linked with President He's. He said nothing. That was a sign of his anger. He probably hadn't expected President He to bring me to this dinner. I seized a moment while getting drinks to release my arm and create some distance from President He. Zhong Yichi's stare still hadn't left me. It seems Miss Si Qiao has gained President He's deep favor. Whatever the occasion, President He always has Miss Si Qiao by his side. His words carried a distinctly gritted teeth quality. I felt a twinge of guilt. Today I was indeed attending as President He's companion. But seeing Lu Yutang beside Zhong Yichi instantly awakened my rebellious streak. You flatter me, young Master Zhong. President He brings me to broaden my horizons. It helps with future work. Zhong Yichi took a sip of champagne. Then Miss Si Qiao is truly an employee who loves her work. I refuse to back down. This is simply my job. Zhong Yichi's lips curled slightly. Just then, Lu Yutang called him coquettishly. Yichi, let's go. My father and uncle have arrived. They're waiting for us over there. Zhong Yichi nodded and let Lu Yutang lead him away. As they turned, Lu Yutang glanced back at me. Her smile was meaningful. I made an excuse and went to the restroom. Coming out, I texted President He that I felt unwell and was heading back. Just as I left the restroom, a hand suddenly grabbed me and pulled me into the nearby stairwell. Familiar woody scent. It was Zhong Yichi. "What are you doing here?" I shook off his hand. "Didn't you see? I came with President He." Zhong Yichi grasped my chin. "That He character don't think he's any good. You can refuse these non-work occasions in the future." I laughed coldly. "What? Afraid I'll ruin your plans?" "Don't worry, I know my place. If we meet outside, I'll act like I don't know you." "That's not what I meant." "Anything else, young Master Zhong? If not, I'll head back." Zhong Yichi grabbed me. "What are you being difficult about?" I was speechless. "Yichi? Yichi? Are you in there?" Lu Yutang's clear voice came through the door. "Young Master Zhong, you should go soothe Miss Lu first." I shook off his hand and quickly ran downstairs. "I'm coming back to Lakeside Court tonight," Zhong Yichi said. As I ran, I thought, "Go where you like. I'm definitely not going back tonight." I went to Yan Zhao's. After a bottle of red wine, Zhong Yichi called, "You're not home." Maybe it was liquid courage, but I couldn't help retorting, "That's not my home." His breathing grew heavier. "Where are you?" "I'm not coming back tonight." "At Yan Zhao's." I hung up. Half an hour later, Yan Zhao's doorbell rang. Yan Zhao blocked Zhong Yichi at the door. "Explain yourself. What exactly are you doing? Trapping Zhang Yan like this? Making her your mistress?" "I won't stand for it." Zhong Yichi looked down at her. "None of your business." With that, he stepped inside with long strides and carried me drunk as a skunk out. Pausing by Yan Zhao, he said, "How do you think I knew your address?" "Miss Yan, don't meddle in the future." While Yan Zhao stood stunned, Zhong Yichi carried me into the elevator. He didn't say a word the whole way. The car kept accelerating, winding through streets until we were home. My head was splitting. I just wanted to collapse and sleep. Zhong Yichi dragged me into the bathtub and turned the shower on me full blast. The icy water hit my body. I shuddered and jumped up. "Zhong Yichi, are you crazy? Sober now?" He pressed one hand on my shoulder, pinning me down. "I told you not to make me unable to find you. Don't you understand?" The shower spray blinded me. My dress was soaked through and clinging. I snapped, "What? Miss Lu can't satisfy you? Or do you enjoy the thrill of having a noble lady in public and a cheap mistress like me on the side?" Zhong Yichi's arms suddenly tightened, as if trying to crush my bones. I forced my eyes open, staring back defiantly. Suddenly he bit my lip. Blood mixed with cold water, lingering between our lips. In his forceful, conquering kiss, I surrendered. Afterward, Zhong Yichi carried me to bed, pulling me into his arms from behind. It was his first time staying overnight at Lakeside Court in half a month. Zhong Yichi was away on business. The Ninki project was progressing smoothly. I'd been running around these past few days. President He kept assigning me personal tasks, and I suddenly started thinking about buying a car. That afternoon, I had Yan Zhao come with me to look at cars. My budget was limited. I just wanted a small runabout. But Yan Zhao headed straight for a Mercedes-Benz 4S. She said she came with me, but she was more enthusiastic about it than I was. Yan Zhao took a liking to a sports car. She wanted a test drive, but the salesperson said it was already reserved. Someone was picking it up today. I was about to tease Yan Zhao when I saw an elegantly dressed woman walking toward us. The person who'd reserved that sports car turned out to be Zhao Peiru. The young girl beside her looked about 18 or 19. It was Zhong Yichi's half-sister, Zhong Zixin. Instinctively, I pulled Yan Zhao out of the 4S. Yan Zhao thought I was pathetic. "Why are you afraid of her? That's ancient history. Next time you see her, hold your head up." I smiled bitterly. Yes, I was conditioned to be afraid of the Zhong family. But Yan Zhao didn't understand the secrets I carried at 22. If Zhong Yichi represented forbidden, transgressive desire, then Zhao Peru was the demon who first dragged me into the abyss. But one thing I realized too late: demons don't let you escape easily. Once I realized I might be falling for Zhong Yichi, I stopped feeding Zhao Peiru any information that could harm him. Zhao Peiru anticipated my downfall. The last time she called me out, I promised to repay her money, to stop being used. Zhao Peiru wasn't angry. She just tossed a folder at me. Inside was evidence of my father's corruption and bribery while working in procurement at one of their subsidiary companies. Zhao Peiru examined her manicure, saying casually, "I checked for you. For this amount, he's looking at 5 years inside. What do you want?" Zhao Peiru handed me a USB drive. "I want you to steal a bid document. Copy it onto this." I didn't take it. I can't access that kind of thing. I'm not capable. Last task. Get the bid document, and your mission ends. As for your father, I'll keep him safe. Zhao Peiru also gave me a small white pill. Give him this on the day. Don't worry, it's harmless, just makes him sleep deeply. This coincided with Zhong Yichi's business trip. He was traveling for this very project. The day he returned, it was raining. I agonized for ages, then finally dialed his number. I forgot my keys and can't get into the apartment. Can you put me up tonight? I'd been to Zhong Yichi's place a few times. No matter how late, he always drove me home. Never stayed over. We held hands, embraced, Gist always stopping just short of the final step. If he'd listened carefully, he would have heard the cracks in my voice, the tremor and wrongness. But he just paused, then said quietly, "Okay." I'd gotten caught in the rain. Zhong Yichi gave me a set of oversized pajamas and told me to shower. While he was in the study, I took one of his shirts from the dressing room. Coming out of the shower, Zhong Yichi stood at the window. His solitary back moved me for a moment. I walked over and hugged him from behind. His body stiffened, then he turned and held me, starting to kiss me. I wore his shirt, smelling of his shower gel and shampoo on my skin and hair. My hair was still wet. Droplets fell from the tips onto my chest, spreading damp patches. The always composed Zhong Yichi's gaze grew gradually deeper. Laying me on his bed, filled with his scent, he asked softly, "Are you sure?" I nodded. Yes, I was sure. Amidst all the truth and lies, whatever my purpose, in that moment, I knew clearly I loved him. Zhong Yichi slept deeply. I got up in the middle of the night and went to the study. Zhong Yichi never hid his work from me. I knew the password, found the bid document easily, copied it, put everything back, closed the study door. The next day, before heading to the bid, Zhong Yichi made me breakfast. Even after losing the bid, he never suspected me, until I disappeared without a word, and Zhao Peiru delivered the killing blow. So yes, Zhong Yichi had every right to hate me. Zhong Yichi sent a video invitation just as I was showering. Over the years, I'd gotten used to all kinds of surprises. I even brought my phone into the bathroom. I didn't dare reject his video call. I meant to switch it to voice. In my fluster, I accidentally hit ... something. The video connected. I wiped soap from my eyes and opened them to see myself naked on the phone screen. And Zhong Yichi's stunned face staring back. He wouldn't think I did that on purpose, would he? I hung up frantically. My hands were wet. The phone wouldn't respond. Then Zhong Yichi ended the video chat. After my shower, I was still shaken. It took a while to calm down before I called him back. Audio only. He answered almost instantly. You ... We both started and stopped at the same time. My mind was full of Zhong Yichi's flushed, disbelieving face. I wondered how he felt. I cleared my throat, trying to hide my embarrassment. "You first." Zhong Yichi's voice was rough. "You're buying a car?" I answered honestly. "Yes." "Wait, I'd gone to the 4S that afternoon." He knew by evening. "How do you know? Are you having me watched?" Zhong Yichi snorted a laugh. "You're in a city. Do I need surveillance?" Fine, I understood. He had connections everywhere. Zhong Yichi seemed in a good mood today. His voice wasn't as cold as usual. "Which model caught your eye?" I didn't really look. "My budget's too tight. Yan Zhao dragged me there." Zhong Yichi paused, then said, "Don't worry about budget. Pick whichever you like. I'll buy it for you." "No need. I just want something affordable for getting around. That's all." "Have you driven much these past 2 years?" Zhong Yichi asked. Quite a bit, actually. He paused, then said matter-of-factly. Since you don't have a preference, let's go with Volvo. Safe. No need. My driving skills are decent now. Honestly, I thought it was too expensive. Zhong Yichi dismissed it without hesitation. I don't trust your skills. I was speechless. I still remembered when I first got my license. I was obsessed with driving. I pestered Zhong Yichi constantly to practice with me. Maybe I was nervous. Maybe just a coward either way. I got worse with practice. My skills were shaky to begin with. Emergencies threw me into a panic. The most memorable time, I swerved to avoid a pedestrian and drove into a roadside flower bed. Luckily, Zhong Yichi grabbed the handbrake and steadied the wheel just in time. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unthinkable. That incident left a deep scar. Afterward, no matter how Zhong Yichi coaxed me, I refused to touch a car. He tried to persuade me. You'll need to learn eventually. When you buy your own car, you can't exactly hire a driver. Without thinking, I'd said, I don't want to buy a car. You drive. I'll ride. Looking back, that was carelessness. Deep down, I believed that wherever I went, Zhong Yichi would drive me home. Until I went to S-City. My then boss just asked if I had a license and handed me the keys. From the restaurant to my boss's place, I was terrified the whole way. Got out of the car drenched in sweat. Later, my boss trained me so thoroughly I could have piloted a plane, let alone driven a car. I might come back early. Wait for me, I'll take you to look at cars. Zhong Yichi's words pulled me from my memories. Drying my still damp hair, I suddenly spoke. Zhong Yichi, I'm not the Zhang Yan from 2 years ago anymore. And we weren't the people we used to be. Zhong Yichi fell silent. Only his soft breathing came through the phone. After a long moment, he said, It's late. Sleep. Before hanging up, I thought I heard him say, Wait for me to come back. His voice was so faint maybe I imagined it. I never got to wait for Zhong Yichi. Instead, Lu Yutang sought me out first. Miss Sikiao, I'm Lu Yutang. I'm at the coffee shop downstairs from your company. Let's meet. She had the air of a wife confronting a mistress. I found it absurd. Admittedly, my relationship with Zhong Yichi was complicated. I threw tantrums, got jealous, whatever. Deep down, I believed his involvement with Lu Yutang was just a business arrangement. But Lu Yutang said they were getting married. I was taken aback. As far as I know, your engagement was called off. Lu Yutang smiled. That was just one of Yichi's moves. You don't know him, do you? People like him hate being controlled, hate having their lives planned out. You think you're that special? His goal all along was to break free from his father's control and build his own business empire. And yes, coming back and marrying me now is part of his plan too. Miss Sikiao, you're not without morals. I know you were forced into this. If we marry, things between you and him will change. He'd be cheating on his wife. You'd be his mistress or worse, his lover, his concubine. But, I interrupted, Zhong Yichi won't let me go. Lu Yutang's eyes lit up. If you decide to leave, I'll help you. How about B-City? Any companies you're interested in? I can write you recommendation letters. Looking at Lu Yutang's eager face, I felt a pang of sadness. She must really love Zhong Yichi. I warned her. He'll find me. Lu Yutang said. Don't worry. He's busy with the company merger now. He won't have time for you. This is your only chance. I admit, I wavered. Before meeting Lu Yutang, I wanted to escape. Yet I was addicted to this entanglement with Zhong Yichi. I loved him. But I didn't want to be a caged bird. Too much had happened between us. The rift could never fully heal. If he really married Lu Yutang, where would that leave me? I checked the date. Barring accidents, Zhong Yichi was due back today. Lu Yutang, afraid I'd changed my mind, booked me a flight to B-City for tomorrow morning at 10:30. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. Zhong Yichi has a big meeting at the merger company. At that time, he won't be able to focus on you. The next morning at 9:30, I sat nervously in the departure lounge, constantly checking the time, afraid something might go wrong. That's when Zhong Yichi called. His voice was terrifyingly cold. Where are you planning to go? I gripped my phone silent. He continued, B-City isn't your final destination, is it? After you land, where will you transfer to? N-City? Your grandmother lives there, right? My breath caught. I knew it. Liu Yutang was no match for him. The arrow had left the bow. Things had progressed this far. I had to take my chances. Zhong Yichi, wherever I go, I don't want to live like this at your side. Zhong Yichi suddenly laughed. He must have been on a rooftop. The wind was loud. Good, very good aspirations, ideals, backbone. That's our Yan. But you have no brains. Did you really think Liu Yutang could pull tricks under my nose? A few words from someone else and you're deceived. Should I call you naive or just stupid? I couldn't help but roll my eyes. It has nothing to do with you anymore. Zhong Yichi's voice turned darkly amused. Is that so? But if you're off seeking your poetry in distant lands, why not take your good friend with you? I startled, suddenly thinking of Yan Zhao. What do you mean? Nothing much. After a company merger, personnel adjustments are normal. Layoffs are just the most common form. My brain had never processed faster. Almost instantly I realized. The company you merged with is Zhongqing. Zhongqing was where Yan Zhao worked. Zhong Yichi's voice carried a hint of pleasure. I still clung to a sliver of hope. You can't threaten me with this. Yan Zhao won't be unemployed just because she leaves Zhongqing. There are plenty of similar companies. Zhong Yichi cut me off. I'm afraid that after she leaves Zhongqing, no company will dare hire her. Though, she is excellent. She could always try starting her own business. Zhong Yichi, you're despicable. Zhong Yichi wasn't angry. He even had the leisure to remind me. Your flight is at 10:30, isn't it? Time to board. Then he hung up. Half an hour later, I walked out of the departure lounge. 30 meters from the entrance, a black car was parked. I knew that license plate all too well. When I came out, Zhong Yichi's secretary got out and loaded my luggage. Once home, I called Yan Zhao. Before I could speak, she launched at me. You know what? Our company has new leadership. Guess who the new president is? Zhong Yichi. What a small world. He called me in for a talk just now. I don't buy his act, but I'll admit Zhong Yichi's got skills. I hung my clothes back up one by one, trying to sound casual. Did the merger affect you? Yan Zhao's laugh was unrestrained. It did. A promotion and raise, does that count? Remember that car we looked at the other day? Next weekend, come with me to pick it up. Zhong Yichi never asked what Liu Yutang said to me. I naturally never asked if they were really getting married. That night he came back to Lakeside Court. As fierce and rough as ever. Later, moved by emotion, his burning body pressed against mine. He murmured in my ear, "Do we need to have a child for you to finally behave?" I didn't know if he was threatening me or genuinely considering it. For now, I didn't dare defy him. Liu Yutang called me a few more times. I just blocked her. When Zhong Yichi took me to pick up the car, I ran into an acquaintance, young Master Zhou. He clearly remembered me. He gave me a knowing smile, then discussed work with Zhong Yichi. I wandered off to look at other cars. As I passed, I thought I heard Zhou say, "Any recent movements from the Liu family?" I pretended not to hear and hurried away. Since my failed escape attempt, Zhong Yichi had been taking me out frequently. Dinners, shopping, he didn't shy away from these non-work, private occasions. Sometimes I almost felt like I was his real girlfriend. They seemed to be discussing some thorny issue. Zhong Yichi's brows were furrowed. When I glanced over, his gaze happened to meet mine. I immediately gave him a sweet smile. Seeing me behaving, he turned back. As we left, Zhou asked me, "Have you heard from Yan Zhao lately? She won't answer my calls." On the way back, my thoughts were tangled. I couldn't help asking Zhong Yichi, "Why is Zhou looking for Yan Zhao? Didn't they break up years ago?" Zhong Yichi kept his eyes on the road, steering one-handed. Maybe he wants to rekindle an old flame. I was still confused. But they haven't contacted each other for years. Can you just rekindle like that? Zhong Yichi glanced at me. How do you know they haven't been in contact? Did Yan Zhao tell you? She hadn't. Could it be they've been in touch for a while? Zhong Yichi smiled but said nothing. Something felt off. It wasn't until I got out of the car that my brain caught up. I grabbed Zhong Yichi's sleeve. If Zhou was already planning to get back together, then threatening me with Yan Zhao before you bluffed me. Zhong Yichi just smiled, motioning for me to continue. You never would have touched Yan Zhao. You tricked me. Zhong Yichi unbuckled his seatbelt and leaned closer. The method doesn't matter. What matters is that you fell for it. You. A chill spread through my limbs. Even with just a fraction of certainty, Zhong Yichi could easily manipulate me. He gently played with the stray hairs on my forehead. What you said isn't entirely right. If they hadn't reconciled yet, and I really went after Yan Zhao. Double quotes, my face fell. Zhou would protect her anyway. Zhong Yichi clicked his tongue in regret. True. Too bad you didn't give him that chance. I couldn't win against Zhong Yichi. That much was clear. Recently, both Zhong Yichi and I had been busy. I was busy with work. He was busy with the New Year's Day family banquet. According to Yan Zhao, at the Zhong family banquet on New Year's Day, Lu Yutang would be there, in her capacity as future daughter-in-law. I smiled bitterly. No wonder. Zhong Yichi hadn't been bothering me much lately. That night before bed, with unusual eagerness, I clung to him, asking what I already knew. Will you be here for New Year's? Zhong Yichi put down his work and pulled me onto his lap. What, you want me to stay? I wrapped my arms around his shoulders, smiling sweetly. Of course. Zhong Yichi saw through my little game instantly, but a smile lingered at the corners of his eyes. I have to go back to the old mansion for New Year's. Be good. Don't get any inappropriate ideas. Even if you run to the ends of the earth, I'll drag you back. I obediently nodded. Got it. I was just testing the waters. After last time, even if I had the nerve, I wouldn't dare. Zhong Yichi left on New Year's Eve. I thought I'd sleep well without him, but instead I ended up with insomnia, tossing and turning until dawn before finally falling asleep. When I woke up, my phone had a strange message. Do you still not see your place? Attached to the message was a photo. At a glittering banquet, Lu Yutang in a haute couture gown stood embraced with Zhong Yichi, who was also formally dressed. Zhong Yichi's head was tilted. Lu Yutang's face was slightly upturned. The photo was taken from a moderate distance. From this angle, they looked like they were kissing. I remembered the determination in Lu Yutang's eyes. My heart constricted, making it hard to breathe. Zhong Yichi returned to Lakeside Court on the 2nd. When he came in, I was eating instant noodles. He glanced at it, then frowned. Instant noodles again? Didn't the auntie come cook today? Without looking up, I said, I gave her New Year's off. Haven't had these in a while. Missed the taste. He walked over and handed me an exquisitely wrapped gift box. Saw this last time and thought it would suit you. Like it? I finished the last few bites, even drank some soup. Then opened the box. It was a ruby necklace. I smiled bitterly. This mistress role was getting more and more authentic. Just finished with the official partner. Now some small favors for the mistress on the side. Though small was relative, this was quite generous. I glanced at it, set it aside, and started clearing the dishes. New Year's gift? Zhong Yichi came around the table and hugged me from behind, his chin rubbing against the top of my head. You don't like it? I thought of that photo from last night. Suddenly, a wave of nausea rose from my stomach. I quickly broke free from his embrace and ran to the bathroom. I retched violently, throwing up all the noodles. Well, I thought, at least that's healthy dinner wasted. I washed my face and looked up to meet Zhong Yichi's burning gaze. He was leaning against the doorframe, staring intently at my reflection in the mirror. That look held guilt, unease, pity, and a hint of remorse. I ignored him and walked out. Suddenly he grabbed my arm. Are you pregnant? His words hit me like a thunderbolt, numbing my limbs. Now that I thought about it, my period was about a week late. Zhong Yichi's unusually calm voice interrupted my thoughts. I'm sorry, that's my fault. But now ... I pushed him away expressionlessly. What? You don't want it? Zhong Yichi looked momentarily stunned, then took a deep breath. If you want it, we'll have it. I laughed coldly. It's not enough that I live in the shadows. Now you want to bring a child into this. Zhong Yichi, even you have limits to how much you can humiliate someone. Zhong Yichi's grip on my arm tightened, his voice strained. Jiang Yan, is being with me really so painful? That you demean yourself like this? Zhong Yichi, I pried his fingers off and held up my phone. Is this what you call being together? Zhong Yichi stared motionlessly at the photo, his face clouding over. He took the phone, glanced at the number, tapped a few times, and deleted the image. I didn't kiss her. It's the angle. I tossed the phone aside. Whether you kissed her or not, whoever sent this to me could send it to others. She's your publicly acknowledged fiancée. My existence is a joke. And you ask if I'm demeaning myself. Zhong Yichi tugged at his tie in irritation. I remembered choosing that tie for him the day he left. There's only mutual benefit between her and me. Do I need to explain that? No need. I cut him off. Zhong Yichi, I owe you. So I endure all this. But I will not bear your child. The next day, I went to the hospital early. Countless thoughts raced through my mind while waiting for the results. When the results came, I wasn't pregnant. The delayed period was due to irregular daily routine. The vomiting was from a weak stomach. The doctor prescribed some regulating medication and advised me not to stay up late or drink alcohol. As I left the clinic, I saw Zhong Yichi standing not far away. He looked like he hadn't slept all night, dark circles under his eyes, stubble on his chin. He fumbled in his jacket pocket for a cigarette. I walked over, took the cigarette, and threw it in the trash. Not pregnant, let's go. Zhong Yichi followed close behind. Then why were you vomiting? Ate too much junk food. After the holiday, work got busy again. Year-end was approaching. Everyone was pushing for results. Recently, there was a particularly tricky project. President He and I had been drinking for 3 days straight without securing it. The big boss got anxious and flew back from Australia. I'd always imagined our big boss as a pot-bellied middle-aged man. I never expected him to be younger than President He. When I picked him up at the airport, I couldn't believe this gentle, refined man was the sly old fox President He had described. The big boss was Feng Jingzhao. I called him President Feng. President Feng was down to earth, with no airs. Zhao Qiao, right? President, he told me about you. Drink like water, never go down. Heard you've been at this project for days. You still holding up? I took his luggage and nodded solemnly. I've got another 500 rounds in me. President Feng's hearty laugh echoed through the hall. That settles it then. Don't worry. I won't make you fight that long. Tonight, we'll take them together. The truth was, I'd spoken too soon. The invincible me barely made it halfway through before running to the bathroom to throw up. President Feng sensed something wrong and barged right into the women's room to find me. We'd been drinking baijiu. When he saw the coffee-colored liquid in the sink, his face darkened. No, you need a hospital. Remembering the doctor's advice from a few days ago, I realized the seriousness. Leaning on President Feng as we left the bathroom, I felt embarrassed. Sorry, President Feng. I let you down. President Feng's expression was serious. I'm the one who should apologize. This negotiation style is unhealthy. You're a person, not a drinking machine. Just because you can hold your liquor doesn't mean you should ignore your health. I was almost moved to tears. Compared to President He, President Feng was wonderful. The cramping pain in my stomach left no room for sentimentality. I leaned my full weight on President Feng. Just as we reached the main entrance, a group of people came into view. The man at the front was tall and slender. His navy blue suit made him look even more cool and aloof. When Zhong Yichi saw me, he paused for a few seconds. He glanced at President Feng, then at me. A shadow crossed his face. The whole group stopped with him, confused, looking our way. I wanted to explain, but then I saw Liu Yutang beside him, and decided it wasn't necessary. President Feng seemed to sense something in the exchange of glances. But he merely greeted Zhong Yichi politely, and guided me out, his arm loosely around me. As we passed, Zhong Yichi reached out and blocked our path. He looked at me, his gaze heavy. What happened? President Feng, though not angry, had a cooler tone. Young Master Zhong, my employee has a stomach hemorrhage. I need to take her to the hospital immediately. Stomach hemorrhage? A flash of panic crossed Zhong Yichi's eyes. His voice softened. Drinking again? After what the doctor said? I looked at his face, concern mixed with reproach, and was momentarily speechless. I'll take you. The world spun. When I realized what was happening, he'd already scooped me up. Startled, I instinctively wrapped my arms around his neck. Liu Yutang was equally shocked. She blocked Zhong Yichi. Yichi, Secretary Zhao and the others rarely have time today. Don't lose sight of the bigger picture. Zhong Yichi glanced back at the group inside. Secretary Zhao is your responsibility. Isn't that what you're best at? Liu Yutang persisted. For her? You're going to leave the people you worked so hard to get hanging. Is that appropriate, Zhong Yichi? Zhong Yichi snorted coldly, suddenly leaning close to her. Whether it's appropriate or not is none of your business. Do you really think I don't know what you did? Lu Yutang, you'd better remember your place. His voice was low, but I, in his arms, heard it clearly. Without another look at Lu Yutang's darkened face, he carried me away. President Feng, concerned, handled matters and also came to the hospital. Zhong Yichi's tone was harsh. I thought with President Feng's return, your company might change. Seems these sleazy tactics won't disappear anytime soon. President Feng sat down casually, arms crossed, looking at Zhong Yichi with interest. These practices have built up over years. They won't change overnight. Speaking of which, young Master Zhong, I've heard President He say you're quite adept at this game yourself. President Feng smiled and continued. Si Qiao's rise to fame, after all, was thanks to you. I remembered that time Zhong Yichi deliberately forced me to drink red wine. President Feng knew about that too? I glanced at Zhong Yichi. His lips were tight, his aura dark. I tried to ease the tension. President Feng, I'm fine. Thank you for coming. You should go. Young Master Zhong, you have important matters too. You should leave as well. I'm actually getting sleepy. President Feng looked at Zhong Yichi and raised an eyebrow. After being hospitalized for 3 days, Zhong Yichi was very busy. After being called away by Lu Yutang that day, he never showed up again. He came to pick me up when I was discharged. Staring at the lily on the bedside cabinet, his face darkened. That Feng guy is trying to kill me? I tossed the flowers into the bathroom trash can. President Feng doesn't know about your condition. As soon as I said it, I felt the wording was off. I turned to look at Zhong Yichi, and sure enough, his face darkened again. I mean, you haven't been around these past few days. I thought you weren't coming, so I didn't mention your pollen allergy. I rolled my eyes internally, thinking he came to see me. As long as I'm not allergic, it's fine. President Feng eventually secured the cooperation deal, at a price 1 point lower. After this matter was settled, President Feng wasn't in a hurry to return to Australia. He said he wanted to attend a friend's engagement party. So, a few days later, I saw Feng Jingzhao at young Master Zhou and Yan Zhao's engagement party. We stood facing each other in bewilderment at the entrance for a good while, and finally burst out laughing together. President Feng, if you'd said you were a friend of young Master Zhou earlier, I would have hitched a ride with you today after work. The temperature had dropped sharply these past few days, and it started snowing just as work ended. I usually don't drive on snowy days. President Feng said, No problem, I can take you home after it's over. Yan Zhao loves snow. She'd said before, whether it's for the wedding or the engagement, it had to snow at least once. This way, her wish was fulfilled. This engagement party was unprecedentedly grand. The Zhou family's reputation in a city was also formidable. The people coming to offer congratulations were all either rich or influential. The engagement party turned into a social mixer for the upper class. I'm not used to this kind of occasion. I didn't know anyone except Yan Zhao. I sat quietly alone in a corner. At some point, President Feng sat down nearby and handed me a piece of cake. Hungry? Have some cake to tide you over. I took it. Thanks, President Feng. You just got back from Australia. This kind of occasion must be pretty hectic for you. Feng Jingzhao shook his head with a smile. To be honest, I don't like this kind of thing either. All this mingling makes me dizzy. I was amused by his expression. President Feng, you're really different from how I imagined. How did you imagine me? President Feng's eyelashes fluttered, his star-like eyes fixed on me. I was momentarily speechless. I couldn't very well say I imagined him as a fox. President Feng laughed first. Probably not something flattering, but that's okay. I care more about what you think of me now. Without thinking, I blurted out. Just very approachable, you know? Down to earth, no airs of a boss, cares about employees. Anyway, just a good boss. President Feng's expression was complex. I'll take that as a compliment. I was again amused by his expression. It's that expression, President Feng. You know? That subconscious expression of yours really doesn't fit your persona. Like a confused squirrel. While we were both laughing heartily, I heard Yan Zhao's voice from the second floor. Yana, come up. I turned around and saw Yan Zhao and young Master Zhou leaning on the railing upstairs. Standing not far away, with an unreadable expression, was Zhong Yichi. I stood there stunned. When had he arrived? Zhong Yichi stared fixedly in the direction of me, and Feng Jingzhou, his expression deep and cold. Young Master Zhou teased, "No wonder we couldn't find President Feng. Turns out he was hiding from the noise over here." We went to the terrace on the second floor. There weren't many people upstairs, mostly close friends. I sat at a table near the edge. A waiter brought champagne. Just as I reached for it, a long, slender arm intercepted it. Zhong Yichi sat down beside me matter-of-factly. "You shouldn't drink." He then called the server. "Bring a hot fruit juice." "Your hot fruit juice?" A gentle voice came from above. I looked up, and Feng Jingxiao's handsome, clear face was right in front of me. "You should also drink less." Flattered, I took the juice from President Feng. "Thanks, President Feng." Feng Jingxiao sat down nearby. "You're too polite," Zhong Yichi said sarcastically. "President Feng is truly a good boss who cares for his subordinates." Feng Jingxiao didn't back down. "It's only right to care for subordinates. But this is after work hours. And Si Qiao and I aren't just boss and subordinate, right, Si Qiao?" "Huh?" I didn't quite catch President Feng's meaning for a second. Zhong Yichi snorted. "President Feng is a bit conceited, aren't you?" Feng Jingxiao carried a hint of detached, cold amusement. "I think young Master Zhong is overconfident. You seem to have quite a few troubles lately. There's a tough nut to crack, and you won't be free for a while." Zhong Yichi curled his lips slightly, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. "If you're thinking of sneaking in, you'd better consider if you have what it takes." I wanted to find some peace and quiet. Just as I stood up, Zhong Yichi's phone rang. "Yeah, go ahead. Which hospital?" Zhong Yichi suddenly stood up, his tone tense. "Don't panic. I'll be right there. Wait for me there." I had never seen Zhong Yichi so flustered. That worry. It must be for someone he cared about deeply. Someone important. But I distinctly heard a female voice on the phone. I didn't dare continue thinking about it, a dull pain throbbing in my chest. Yan Zhao suggested making some mulled wine for everyone. I volunteered to cut the fruit, using it as an excuse to slip into the kitchen. I overheard young Master Zhou telling Yan Zhao that it was Liu Yutang who had called Zhong Yichi earlier, which was why he'd left in such a panic. Zhong Yichi was inherently a distant person. If it were truly just about interests between them, he wouldn't have worried like that. "You're hurt." Feng Jingzhao's voice pulled my wandering thoughts back. I looked down. The index finger of my left hand was bleeding steadily. The cut wasn't shallow. Strangely, it didn't hurt at all, even though I said several times it was fine. Feng Jingzhao insisted on taking me to the hospital. After the wound was dressed at the hospital, Feng Jingzhao insisted on driving me home. I was silent and compliant the whole way. As I was getting out of the car, Feng Jingzhao suddenly called out, "Si Qiao." I just realized I'd been spacing out and smiled apologetically at him. President Feng, thanks for bringing me back. What I said on the terrace earlier wasn't a joke. I'm not stupid. I understood what he meant, but I couldn't respond. Between Zhong Yichi and me, it's complicated. Feng Jingzhao's hands on the steering wheel tightened unconsciously. "Do you still love him?" I nodded. "Yes." "Can you not love him?" I turned to look at Feng Jingzhao's sincere eyes and smiled wryly. "Probably not. Between him and me, love, hate, mutual entanglement, tormenting each other. That's our business. Outsiders don't understand, and it's not something anyone can just step into with a few words. President Feng, you're so outstanding. I'm not worth it." Feng Jingzhao laughed self-deprecatingly. "Don't give me a nice guy card. Whether you're worth it or not, I'm the one to decide. If there's a day when your grievances are resolved, I'm willing to wait for you." "Thank you, President Feng. But I can't give you what you want." Feng Jingzhao got out of the car and walked over to the passenger side. "You know what I want?" I avoided his gaze. "I don't know." "Love, definitely can't give that." Feng Jingzhao laughed out loud. "Si Qiao, don't be so frank. I'm afraid I'll fall deeper." Feng Jingzhao told me not to feel pressured. After knowing his feelings, I tried my best to avoid private contact with him, except for work. One day, after working very late, he suggested we grab a meal together. Just as I was about to decline, he put on a pitiful face. Can you not be so sensitive? I really don't have any other intentions. Working this late, having a meal together isn't too much to ask, is it? Just downstairs at that place, our team usually goes for gatherings. Not a single step further. I was amused by his tone and went downstairs with him. We were genuinely hungry. Apart from eating and occasionally touching on work progress, we didn't exchange a single irrelevant word. Finishing quickly, Feng Jingzhao went to the front desk to settle the bill. The receptionist said it had already been taken care of. Feng Jingzhao looked uncharacteristically bewildered. Could there be a mistake? The receptionist smiled professionally. No mistake. It was paid by the gentleman claiming to be Ms. Zhang Yan's boyfriend. Feng Jingzhao also realized that this Zhang Yan referred to me. He looked at me with a complex expression for a long moment before saying, "Let's go." The doctor said I needed to disinfect my hand twice a day. While I was removing the bandage that evening, Zhong Yichi came through the door. I continued what I was doing, ignoring him. He came up behind me, reeking of alcohol. How did this happen? Without looking up, I said, "It's nothing." He washed his hands, then took the iodine and started disinfecting the wound. The cut was deep and hadn't fully healed yet. He blew on it gently. "Sure you don't need to go to the hospital?" I sneered. "Already went. The night of Yan Zhao's engagement party, after you left." Zhong Yichi stiffened, his movements pausing. "That's good then. Not busy today?" I asked him. Zhong Yichi skillfully wrapped the bandage around my finger. "Nothing much. You didn't need to come back, actually." I subtly pulled my finger away. Zhong Yichi finally looked up. He'd been drinking, his dark eyes tinged with intoxication. "You didn't want me to come back?" I stood up and walked towards the bathroom. "It's not about wanting or not wanting. Either way is fine." Zhong Yichi pulled me into his arms in one swift motion. His unique scent, mixed with the smell of alcohol, enveloped me. "Been busy with work lately? Coming home very late." I let him hold me, neither resisting nor responding. "Yeah, very busy. Busy enough to have meals together too." I took a deep breath. "Right. An intern has been staying overnight at the company for several days now. Maybe I won't come back tomorrow either." My words successfully provoked Zhong Yichi. He grabbed my shoulders and spun me around, his heavy breath pressing down on me. I turned my head away, avoiding him. "What? Not willing?" Zhong Yichi looked down at me, his gaze growing increasingly cold and thin. I sneered. "If I said no, would you stop? Do you even understand respect?" Zhong Yichi released me, a hint of mockery on his lips. Does Feng Jingzhao understand it? Always knowing exactly where the line is, protecting you at every turn, making you feel cherished and respected. "Don't talk nonsense," I interrupted him. Zhong Yichi's eyes were bloodshot. "So, you're in such a hurry to find a replacement?" "Yes," I shouted at him. "Why not? Waiting until the day you're tired of me to slink away in disgrace." Zhong Yichi's jawline tightened abruptly, his brows and eyes sharpening with a chilly edge. Suddenly he laughed, embracing me from behind, his voice icy to the core. "Is that so? Does he know about our nights together? Does he know how you approached me 3 years ago? Does he know you'd sell your own body to achieve your goals?" Zhong Yichi. Slap. The sound cut through the air as I raised my hand and struck him across the face. It felt like I had used all my strength. I don't know if Zhong Yichi went back to Binhu Yuan, Lakeside Court, or not. I was away on a business trip for a few days. When I returned, Zhong Yichi's secretary called to say he was hospitalized. Apparently, he'd caught a chill that night, developed a fever, which triggered his asthma. I went to the hospital that evening. At the entrance to his ward, I heard Lu Yutang's voice. "Yichi, please have a bite. I made it for you myself." My raised hand froze in midair. Just as I was about to turn and leave, Secretary Zhang's voice came from behind. "Miss Zhang, you're here. Why don't you go in?" I was mortified. From inside the room, Zhong Yichi's voice. "Who's outside?" "It's Miss Zhang." Secretary Zhang pushed the door open and walked in casually. "Young Master Zhong, Miss Zhang is here to see you." I stood at the door, suitcase in hand, not knowing whether to enter or retreat. "Come here," Zhong Yichi said flatly. I walked over. He spoke again. "Yutang, you go check on Bureau Chief Zhao. Make sure his wife is calm." Liu Yutang shot me a reluctant glare. But ultimately, she didn't dare defy Zhong Yichi's wishes. In an instant, the room was left with just me and Zhong Yichi. I moved a little closer and asked carefully, "How did you suddenly get a fever? I thought your asthma hadn't flared up for years." Zhong Yichi looked at me, his gaze distant as if veiled by mist. "If I don't want to let you go, you'll never be free. Not unless I die." He was sick now. I didn't want to continue this topic. "Don't talk about that now." I glanced at the nourishing soup on the table. "What do you feel like eating? I'll go buy it for you." Zhong Yichi's tone was indifferent. No appetite. "Don't want to eat." Secretary Zhang said Zhong Yichi had been very irritable these past 2 days, refusing to eat anything. I had the housekeeper make the congee Zhong Yichi usually liked, along with 2 light dishes. I coaxed him into eating, and after his 4 drip he went to sleep. In the middle of the night, Zhong Yichi started running a fever again. The doctor said it was normal. The inflammation wouldn't subside immediately. He slept restlessly, his brows furrowed tightly, his expression pained. I got a towel to wipe away his sweat. Suddenly his eyes flew open, and he reached up to grab my hand. "Jiang Yan." Zhong Yichi's eyes shone with pure light in the darkness, bright as the Milky Way. He stared at me for a long time, then spoke as if he'd made up his mind. "Last time, you said I kept you by my side for revenge. I admit it. I'm despicable. Because I'm in pain, I wanted you to feel the same pain. I thought we could just torment each other like this, tangled together for a lifetime. That day, Secretary Zhang told me you were happy with Feng Jingzhao, a kind of ease you never had with me. I was so jealous, but at the same time, I was glad. Glad that the version of you with me, lifeless, walking on eggshells, wasn't the real you. I know what you want, but I can't give it to you right now. There are things I have to do. People I have to bring down. You were right. I can't keep you living in the shadows forever. So, Jiang Yan, I can let go. You're free." Secretary Zhang drove me back. She told me I didn't need to come to the hospital anymore. The apartment at Binhuyan was transferred to my name, but I didn't continue living there. I moved into Yan Zhao's old apartment. During the New Year, I went back to N City to visit my grandmother. Grandma was in good health, and my father had also settled down in our hometown. I heard from Yan Zhao that Zhong Yichi had still announced his engagement at the end of the year. Major financial newspapers were competing to report it. I was glad I wasn't in a city. Otherwise, the overwhelming news would have suffocated me. After the New Year, Yan Zhao came to N City to visit me. We drank a lot. That night, we squeezed into the same bed. Yan Zhao said, "Yana, even though Zhong Yichi got engaged to Liu Yutang, they didn't seem that close." I remembered what he'd said before. Between him and Liu Yutang, it was only ever about interests. But whatever was between them didn't matter anymore. Zhong Yichi had let me go. That was what I wanted, and that should be enough. But I still felt so suffocated I couldn't breathe. I remembered that first year in S City. When the company had social events, others avoided them, but I was always eager to go. Because only when I was drunk could I temporarily stop thinking about Zhong Yichi. I kept myself busy, leaving no time for melancholy. They called me desperately determined 13th girl. I just couldn't allow myself any free time. Later, I developed the ability to hold my liquor, and my heart grew harder and harder. But he could always easily make me crumble. After staying in my hometown for a few days, Grandma started arranging blind dates for me. She said I was 25, which made me a leftover woman. That scared me so much that Yan Zhao and I fled back to a city that very night. After the New Year holiday, work got busy again. In March, Yan Zhao found out she was pregnant, and her wedding to young Master Zhou was moved up. While accompanying Yan Zhao to choose a wedding dress, I ran into Zhong Yichi's aunt. After exchanging a few pleasantries, I tried to leave, but she held on to me. "Can't you even stay for afternoon tea?" Though embarrassed, I found it hard to refuse. I looked at the man waiting not far away for my aunt and asked, "Have you two been in China all this time?" My aunt glanced in his direction. "No. We came back before the New Year for Zhao Kai's engagement." As soon as she said it, she felt it might be inappropriate and glanced at me nervously. I smiled. It's okay. We've separated. It's over. My aunt sighed deeply, her brows furrowed with worry. It might be over for you, but it's not so easy for him to end things. I was puzzled. What do you mean? My aunt took my hand and said earnestly, I don't understand it either. You two clearly like each other. Why did it come to this? I shook my head. He hates me. The rift between us can't be healed. My aunt said, I know a little about your situation. I don't know how much he hates you, but I know how much he loves you. Don't you understand him by now? He's stubborn. His mouth is as hard as a dead duck's. He's angry that you once deceived him. If he can't hear from your own lips how you feel about him, he'll never get past that hurdle. If you soften a little, he'll give in. My aunt's tone was serious. The hand resting by my side clenched involuntarily. When he was in the US, he was always looking for you. You thought he was looking for revenge, but really, he was afraid you'd disappear again. He has an old iPad he doesn't use anymore, and it's full of your photos. If he didn't like you, why would he keep them? Yan, you need to make the first move. But, thinking of Liu Yutang, I hesitated. They're already engaged. Oh. My aunt dismissed it. That'll be over soon. For the details, you'll have to ask him yourself. So soon? I was having trouble keeping up. My aunt chided me playfully. And you think it's soon? You don't know. After you left, he worked day and night just to finish these things sooner. The next time I saw Zhong Yichi was when I accompanied Yan Zhao to the hospital for a checkup. As we were leaving, we saw Zhong Yichi and his group coming out of the elevator. In the middle, surrounded by them, was the man I'd seen at the restaurant before. Seemed like Bureau Chief Zhao. Zhong Yichi and Liu Yutang flanked him on either side, with many others following behind. Zhong Yichi looked thinner. The lines of his face were more defined. They got into a car. From start to finish, Zhong Yichi looked straight ahead, not noticing me. After sending Yan Zhao home, I ran into young Master Zhou, who was just returning, downstairs. He told me another version of the story regarding Zhong Yichi and Liu Yutang. During those 2 years overseas, Zhong Yichi had actually been planning all along to reclaim the position of chairman of Aoshang. Zhao Peru had beguiled Zhong Yichi's father, privately contacting members of the board. During her years as head of the Aoshang Charity Foundation, she used underhanded means to gradually erode Old Master Zhong's real power within Aoshang. But Old Master Zhong was so bewitched by her, he couldn't tell right from wrong. All these years, Zhong Yichi had been secretly buying back Aoshang shares and gathering evidence against Zhao Peru. He needed absolute controlling interest in Aoshang, free from any threat. So he cooperated with the Liu family real estate, helping them win the bid for the city's subway construction project. In return, the Liu family sold him the Aoshang shares they held through a nominee. This way, he could deal with Zhao Peru, reclaim the shares, and retake the position of charity foundation head. To outsiders, Aoshang and the Liu family joining forces, a marriage alliance was the most reasonable and convincing path. Hence their unprecedentedly grand engagement party. Young Master Zhou lit a cigarette. Today, Bureau Chief Zhao was discharged from the hospital. Their business should be wrapping up soon. Bureau Chief Zhao. Young Master Zhou nodded. The night of mine and Yan Zhao's engagement party. Bureau Chief Zhao was in a car accident. His injuries were severe, and his wife was very emotionally unstable. Bureau Chief Zhao was in charge of the subway construction project. If something happened to him, all of Zhong Yichi's efforts would have been for nothing. It finally dawned on me. So that's why he left in such a panic that night. Yeah, young Master Zhou said. I only found out later. Fortunately, Bureau Chief Zhao was okay. Before heading upstairs, young Master Zhou asked me, if Zhong Yichi resolves everything, will you give him another chance? I didn't speak. Young Master Zhou sighed. Don't you know Zhong Yichi by now? He doesn't like to explain things. But he loves you. The whole world knows that. Between him and Liu Yutang, it was always just a transaction. Liu Yutang helped him reclaim Aoshang. He helped Liu's company win the subway bid. It's just that Liu Yutang developed some inappropriate feelings. Before he met you, he wasn't interested in romantic entanglements. After he met you, he never wavered. His hands were tied. You shouldn't blame him. Lately, Yan Zhao's commute was shared between me and young Master Zhou. Today, her company had a celebration party, and she asked me to pick her up after work. I parked the car and asked her when she'd be done. She instantly sent back a photo. It was a picture of them drinking. Zhong Yichi was sitting in the main seat. Someone was toasting him. He was far away, the focus wasn't clear, but even in the blurry photo, you could see his face was very red. He'd only just been hospitalized not long ago. He should be avoiding alcohol and cigarettes now. I don't know what came over me. Somehow I found myself in the elevator, heading straight to the 42nd floor. The reception desk was empty. Everyone inside was eating and having a good time. No one noticed me come in. As I entered, he was just raising a glass for a toast. Everyone's worked hard. The successful completion of this project is thanks to all your efforts. Then he raised the glass to his lips. Wait a minute. Under everyone's gaze, I walked over to Zhong Yichi and took the glass from his hand. You can't drink anymore. In fact, you shouldn't drink at all from now on. A faint halo of light seemed to surround Zhong Yichi's face. His cheeks were flushed. His gaze fell on me through the hazy lights. Why are you here? I smiled without answering, then turned and said, Your President Zhong is drunk. Let me drink this toast on his behalf. The crowd murmured, everyone wearing expressions of eager curiosity. It was rare to see their boss so compliant, and they couldn't resist teasing. Are you President Zhong's girlfriend? I'd been brave coming up here, but faced with the question, I chickened out. After all, Zhong Yichi had only recently announced the dissolution of his engagement with Liu Yutang. Just as I was internally cringing, Zhong Yichi suddenly draped an arm over my shoulder and said with a smile, Not yet. She hasn't agreed. Whoa. The crowd started hooting and hollering, the scene getting a bit chaotic. Finally, Yan Zhao pushed us both towards the exit. All right, the boss is in your hands. Get him home safely. What about you? I remembered I was supposed to be picking up Yan Zhao. Yan Zhao smiled slyly. I have a husband. Why would I need you? It dawned on me then that I might have been set up. The last shred of sobriety Zhong Yichi had seemed to vanish, and he leaned his whole weight on me. Yan, you came to take me home, right? I struggled to support his sliding body. First tell me where you're going. Zhong Yichi looked up at me. To Bin Hu-yon, okay? Epilogue. Zhong Yichi took me to the cemetery to visit his mother. As we were walking back after seeing her grave, he suddenly said, You know, Yan, the first time I saw you was right here. Huh? I had no memory of it. Zhong Yichi smiled helplessly. I knew you'd forgotten. We walked over and sat down in front of a pavilion. He continued. That day was Qingming Festival. I came to see my mom. There were fresh flowers in front of the grave next to hers. The spring wind was strong, and I probably inhaled some pollen, which triggered an asthma attack. That was one of the darkest times in my life. My assistant wasn't with me, and I didn't have much will to live. Zhong Yichi turned his head to look at me, a bit of smile tugging at his lips. At that moment I thought, just leave this world like this. Go find my mom. In the suffocation I seemed to hallucinate. I saw a thin figure rush over, help me up, fumble around on me, find the medicine and save me. Later, I often thought, if I hadn't met you that day, I really might not be in this world anymore. You were like a beam of light, shining into my world. I think I remembered. One year on Qingming, I'd gone to the cemetery to visit my late teacher. Not far from me, someone had an asthma attack. I happened to see it and ran over to save him. So that person was you. It finally clicked. Zhong Yichi fondly ruffled my hair. Am I really that unremarkable? You didn't even recognize me later. Later? Looking at Zhong Yichi's teasing eyes, I seemed to understand what he meant. So, when I approached you later, you recognized me right from the start. Of course, Zhong Yichi snorted lightly. With your lousy acting skills, did you really think I was that easy to seduce? I angrily punched him. What do you mean seduce? It's obviously that you fell for me at first sight, and couldn't forget me. Zhong Yichi laughed and pulled me into his arms. You're right. I did like you first. I found it incredible. What a coincidence, though. How did Zhao Peru find me specifically? If she had found someone else, Would you have taken the bait? Zhong Yichi chuckled. That would depend on her skills. Someone as naive as you? Definitely not. Zhong Yichi told me that this wasn't really a coincidence at all. Zhao Peru had been having people monitor Zhong Yichi all along. She had bribed the hourly worker at Zhong Yichi's apartment. Zhong Yichi had known about her tricks for a long time but pretended not to. And Zhao Peru hadn't actually gotten any useful intel from the hourly worker. Until one time, when the cleaner was tidying the study and saw my photos. Zhao Peru investigated me. She figured out that I might be special to Zhong Yichi. Back then, my father was addicted to gambling. First, she had people set up my father to gamble, then lent him high-interest loans after he lost. Just when we were at our wits' end, she appeared. For a mere 200,000, I was hers to use. Even though it was all in the past, hearing this still sent chills down my spine. Oh my God, she's so sinister, Zhong Yichi sneered. That's exactly why I had to get rid of her. Over the years, Zhong Yichi had gathered a lot of evidence of her embezzling funds from the Aoshang Charity Foundation and colluding with board members. He'd even uncovered all the details about the lover she kept on the side. The chairman had secretly sent her overseas. Zhong Yichi said, "She'd never come back in this lifetime. What about Zhong Zixin and Zhong Ziwen?" Zhong Yichi said casually, "They don't know about the dirty things Zhao Peru did. If they stay out of trouble and behave themselves, I'll ensure they're well taken care of for life." I must have been crazy to think I could scheme against Zhong Yichi. If he had really wanted to deal with me, I probably wouldn't even know how I died. Zhong Yichi, as if reading my mind, smiled and teased me. "So, Yan Yan needs to be good from now on. Don't even think about causing trouble." "Otherwise, I asked weakly. "Otherwise what?" "Otherwise," Zhong Yichi said with a mischievous grin, whispering in my ear, "you'll be very tired at night." The end.